Good morning, episode number 88. Welcome back, my friends, to another incredible morning with gold raising, pumping, getting absolutely ridiculous. What a surprise. Actually, not really a surprise. Looking forward to go over it. We have a lot of things to discuss here. Welcome back. Let's see what we have. Or who we have in the building today. Gold is ready, straight up from a holiday, came back from a holiday, and gold decided to just go crazy. What a timing. What a perfect timing. Couldn't be better, right? Let's see what the chat is saying here before we get the party started here. We have a lot of things to discuss. We have the NFP coming tomorrow. And today is wow! I can't wait. We have to go over the market right now. What's gold doing here? Why is it pumping so much? What is happening? What is going on? Good to see you, George, my friend, Way Wonder Man. Good morning. I'm longing towards 4,300. Good morning, yes sir. Forex boy, good to see you. Da Cypher, good to see you, my friend. Mane and Reef, good to see you. Bradley, good to see you. Beam, what's up? TC, my friend, how are you? Good to see you again. Calvin, hey man. Connie, good to see you as well. As always, the man himself, Connie is back. Good to see you, my friend. Nice, very nice. Nathan, good morning. Derek, yes sir. All right, a lot of people are trying to short this stuff. I'm gonna warn you, this thing is gonna have a very hard time breaking down right now. We'll talk about it in a second. Okay, good to see you all. Welcome back, baby. Welcome back. Yeah. You guessed it right. Gold has broken out. Don't act all surprised. Don't act like, oh, what's gold doing here? You guys know it. The longer the compression, the harder the breakout. I repeat, the longer the compression, the harder the breakout. The longer the breakout, the more aggressive the breakout. Okay? The less of a chance of you trying to short it, right? That's the overall idea here. You have to be very careful when gold is going. When gold is going, it is going. You guys know that already here. We broke out of the range of the range. The range of the range. Unfortunately, yesterday, man, look at that long. Oh my God. Imagine that. Imagine that. Imagine that. Right? Let's be honest here. But the reality is that the breakout was real. And this is a serious one. Because right now, at this moment, right now, we're trying to push higher and higher and higher. And we don't have any clear, really clear supply zones sitting up there that are giving me vibes of like, you know what? That could be the next big resistance, except for the monthly time frame. Look at the monthly. There's the only real resistance that I can see right now, which is like, wow, which is all sitting at the, where is it? 4,350? Yeah. Something like that. Look at that monthly supply zone sitting at 4,350 right there. That is a serious level of resistance, okay? That is an absolute serious level of resistance. We cannot neglect that level in particular. The 4,250, and that makes sense because that is pretty much this area right here as well. You can actually see that right there on the chart from like a horizontal support or resistance level right there, right? It's pretty obvious that this is going to be like a major area of resistance right there. But that is a level that we have not tapped into yet, the 4,250, right? That is something that we have to get into probably if we are trying to raise price at this current moment right now at the moment. I can't see any clear levels in between that. And like I said before, the longer the compression, the harder the breakout. And this has been a compression of, yes, we have been operating in fair value. We call that fair value when price and is kind of in a balanced range on the higher time frame as well, in this case. Since you could say June 19th, right? So that is roughly how long until the breakout? 46 days. 46 days of ranging, okay? And you don't think that on the lower time frame, but on the higher time frame, yes, we can call that an official ranging market, right? That doesn't mean there were a lot of opportunities inside though. We had a really great month in June and July, actually. But now that we are breaking out, we have to look at the statistics of higher time frame resistance, the major levels. And the last thing that I'm trying to do now is to short the top or to predict the top here until we have been proven otherwise, okay? Because this is such an easy thing to do, is to just get into a breakout scenario and every time think it's a fake out and every time think that it's gonna be the move that is gonna bring you the biggest trade of the year, which is the pullback. And then it just keeps going and going. And you're like sitting there behind your computer. And you're like, why is this thing keep going up? Why is this thing just pumping and pumping? At the same time, while the dollar is actually flat, pretty much in a range, not doing much, according to what we have been seeing here. Yes, it's not strong, but the dollar is not really doing much, okay? At the same time, oil is pretty much doing the same thing right there, all right? Oil is doing the same thing, the dollar is doing the same thing. But if you look at all the metals are going absolutely bananas here. Look at silver as well. Look at the breakout on silver. Same thing, right? Major resistance sitting up there, all the way at the $63, $64. So yeah, there is still more room to go, okay? And if you think there is not, there is more room, okay? It's just the way it seems to work. All right. However, you do keep in mind as well that this also came in hand with or went hand in hand with the ADP non-farm employment. Very bad, horrible numbers again for the dollar. This has been already the, I don't know, the fourth time right now that we've seen terrible numbers coming from the quote unquote employment data. All right. And that has a major impact on the dollar as well. The NFP came out horrible last time too. Tomorrow is the new one. So we're going to be very important. And I do believe that the Federal Reserve Chairman, Mr. Wash, is going to take that in consideration, right? Bad numbers, or good numbers, you could better say, for gold, okay? So do take that in consideration as well here right now. The best thing that we can do right now is to simply look at the 15-minute time frame. Number one, to mark out the breakout right here. We broke out this major area, okay? Yesterday, it was actually an obvious long, right? We all talked about the reasoning. We went over it already a long period of time here. How we tapped into the bottom, right? How we pretty much tapped into that demand zone right there at the bottom right here. 4-hour demand. We found our support. That was actually kind of obvious. Okay, then on the lower time frame, we were like, yes, we operated in what we call fair value for a long period of time. That was around right there. Okay, we had around a range, kind of a ranging market, right? A double bottom into the demand zone, a breakout, and then the retest, right? We broke out of fair value. We mark out the range, and then you retest the fair value right there. And this is what we call the retest of the value area high. Right, and we tapped into the very high right there. Boom, price tape came into that, and on the lower time frame, we indeed saw the manipulation happening yesterday in Asia, and then it broke above it, and then it came back, and it retested, and that was just pretty much the bottom. I was targeting, you know what? As long as we're in the range, we just trade the range. We try to trade the range, and we target the range high. That was that previous daily high level. It was actually sitting at the 4106, but it didn't stay there. No, it wanted to go up a little bit more than that, actually, a little bit more. When I say around 1,800 pips more, to be exact. Okay, that is the reality of what we're seeing at this current moment. Okay. Anyways, going back to where we are right now, because this is what matters the most for us. Okay, we mark out the previous daily level. Okay, we take out the range from yesterday, pretty much the bottom to the top. It's like a swing, it's like a range, it's pretty much a trending market. So we take the left to the right of the previous daily candle, and we have the volume profile sitting right around there. Okay, look at that distribution, and I want to show you something important here. Okay, because you guys know that we look at low volume nodes. Who's aware of that in the chat? Let me know. The LVNs, or the low volume nodes, the areas of low volume, and how in a trending market, it is one of the best, if not the best levels to enter from. Okay, why? That is where the real absorption is taking place. Okay, the real absorption of sellers is happening at the bottom. Look at that, all the sellers at the bottom of the candle right there, strong buyers stepping into the bottom of the candle. Every 4-hour and every hourly candle, you could see that yesterday. All the sellers entering at the bottom. A lot of absorption is taking place there. You can actually see that if we would mark out those low volume nodes right now, areas of low volume, then how is it possible that that is then gonna be support? Or right here, that is becoming support. And right there, right? That became support. Do you see that? So we came onto it, we pulled back into it, we had an area of low volume, we tapped into that, we broke out, area of low volume, we tapped into that, we broke out, area of low volume. We tapped into that, and we broke out again. Okay, so in a trending market, man, these things are something you have to pay attention to. And you can just slide your daily candle over from the day, right? And you're just gonna keep pushing it higher until the next one. And the next one. And these low volume nodes will appear. You just follow up with the daily trend. And you just keep trying to follow up with that until you're proven otherwise right now. Okay, for now, I would say major resistance is sitting up there. Okay, it is around the 43, yeah, what I said before. What is that level? The 43, 66, all the way down to like the 43. Yeah, I would say that the 43.66 is actually the major level that we have to look for. That's a monthly supply zone. That is something we cannot simply neglect right there. Okay, it's not that. It doesn't look far away, but it is pretty much still 400 pips away from here. We do want to have some sort of pullback, right? I do want to have some sort of pullback. I don't like to really try to trade the continuation now, because that is kind of the worst place to enter a position, in my opinion, is to try to enter into the continuation now at this current moment, because the stop loss does not make any sense. That's the problem with things like that, right? When I look at the entries, then I need to hope that we just have to follow through and the power for that continuation. But at the same time, we're already getting a little bit more to like an overvaluation right now on gold against the dollar. You can already see that right there, right? When we tapped into an overvaluation here, yes, we are trending up, but we did create a little pullback, right? Overvaluation there, we did create a little pullback. And the overvaluation there was just a breakout. So that didn't really matter until we created a bearish divergence. And we just ranged for a while, right? So now we have to pay attention to the fact that we are pretty much there. So even if I would long right here at this level, which is now at 42.91, and I would just target that, then we would not be far away from an overvaluation again. And it would just reduce my odds, again, of like the continuation place. And this lowers my risk-reward ratio. So the only logical way I could say it makes sense for me to enter is by being aware of the previous day. Number one, let's mark out all these areas right here. Just mark out the previous daily range, okay, which is sitting pretty much right there. And then at the same time, what we do is we pretty much use that, okay? We wait for some sort of pullback. And then, of course, we have a range right here. Okay, we have a range sitting right in this area. Okay, I think this is a range that you have to mark out as well. And I think we can then watch it level by level inside of the range. Let's start off with the range right here. And let's see and hope that we can get some sort of pullback into the 42.60. Okay, which is the first major level of, I would already say, support right there. And again, inside of the range itself, you'll have what we call a low volume node as well. Do you see it? Well, we can kind of see that right here inside of the value area of the range. You can actually see that we have what we call a low volume node sitting right in between that level. And that is actually sitting at the 42.55. So I hope that we can get there, man. I hope we can pull back into the range. Pretty much hold that support. Show some sort of absorption of buyers, or sorry, sellers, in terms of a 50-minute wick with sellers at the bottom inside of that candle. That would be amazing. That would definitely increase the odds of simply continuously getting absorbed right now and looking for a continuation play. And then the risk reward is very favorable, because then we're talking about a 700 pip move to the upside against a lower, you could almost say a smaller kind of risk play. It just increased the risk reward ratio right now. We're seeing the rejection already. Okay, the 5-minute is pretty much already getting rejected a little bit here. The 15-minute is getting a bit on the overvaluation side right now. So I think it's worth to wait basically for a little bit of a pullback inside of the previous range. And if not the previous range, which I think will be a great setup, by the way, we don't have to think about pushing price all the way back down here. This low volume node is still extremely relevant. Okay, extremely relevant for us to pay attention to. So we have these two areas that I'm gonna watch right now. 42.56. Okay, and then of course the next one is the one below, but that's the one that is not really important for me at this current moment here. The last thing that I'm trying to do now is to short. Okay, I'm really trying to be careful with shorting gold when gold is going. And if you are very familiar with trading gold, then you probably already understand that you know that when gold is going, it can just keep ripping and going higher. And I think we probably burned ourselves a lot of times in the past where we are trying to short scenarios like these, okay? These scenarios are not, how do you say that? These scenarios are not as, happen as often, okay? Major breakouts do not happen often, okay? Especially when gold has been compressed like that. That is a moment where you just have to lay back, relax, and don't be on the other side, or don't try to be on the other side. Okay, there's a moment to just follow the wave until you get proven otherwise, okay? Now, how do you get proven otherwise? By potentially waiting for a larger new area of value. This is gonna be actually super important. That's my strategy, that's how I apply it, okay? To wait for a larger value area to be created. So a larger range to be created, preferably in a higher time frame supply zone, okay? Preferably in a higher time frame supply zone. I need to see a larger range, okay? I'm not talking about a short 1 hour range, okay? I'm talking about a larger range. Price really need to show us that we're kind of losing momentum, that we're slowing down, and we're creating a larger area of balance, right? Where you could really see that buyers and sellers are both trying to fight each other out at predominantly higher time frame resistance right there. Until then, I will not personally look for shorts. even though the pullbacks are quote-unquote trade setups. I get that. The problem with these pullbacks is though, where do you put your stop loss? Okay, where do you put your stop loss? And where do you actually then manage to trade accordingly? Okay, when you look at the hourly here, there's so much absorption taking place right now. Look at the 4 hour as well. That also from that perspective, okay, you're fighting against a lot of sellers that are stuck in their position. And if these sellers are going to exit their position, it's going to cause buying pressure. Because if they exit, they have to buy back their trade. Okay, if you sell and you want to exit your sell, you have to buy. And then someone has to buy it from you. Okay, that's how the game works right there. So a lot of trap market participants at the bottom could lead into, how do you say that? Yeah, Christmas, right? A lot of absorption. Okay. There we go, man. Let's see if we can look for some sort of reaction or pullback. Hopefully we can. Hopefully we just could not continue to rip into resistance. Because at some point, yes, you have to pay attention to the higher time frame. And like I said before, I hope this level makes sense to you guys right there. It is not just a level. It's a major, major level. It's actually the level. Okay, that gold is really gonna look for to potentially get rejected from. If gold gets rejected from an area like that, okay, it just shows very straightforward, very simply, that gold is not able to change the trend. Because right now we are breaking down since March. We have been breaking to the downside right here. This is that major supply zone, okay? That is gonna be the big one. If gold can break that, guess what's gonna happen? Okay? Guess what's gonna happen? Gold is gonna try to break out, and then the highs are not far away anymore. But the reality of that is not gonna be easy. It's not gonna be an easy job, okay? So don't think that this is gonna go straight to the moon, because we have a major area of resistance sitting right there, that monthly supply zone. And we wanna see how this August on the monthly is gonna close, because if the August candle is gonna close above that area right there, yeah, love from India. Thank you, my friend. I appreciate that. Okay. If price closes above that area right there, you have a new demand zone, and then price could potentially pull back, right? Do something like this, and then maybe continue to go higher. Right? But give it time. It needs time. Okay. If you close above that, the tide is turning. But for now, supply is a real thing. It really works, and it really does its job. And it's been proven to do its job for, yeah, decennia, you would better say. Okay, for now, pay attention to this major resistance right here. That is the major target what we're looking at. Okay, that aligns perfectly with the monthly supply right there. Okay, that is something that we might heading towards right now. Okay, so let's see if any pullback is realistic today, and if it's possible for us to move back into a certain level. If we continue to rip higher and we don't pull back, then I have to do something like this. I have to take the volume profile of the current day, and I have to wait to see what happens when price reaches back into the point of control of that, okay, which is the 4275. But that is very aggressive, I have to say, okay? That is a very aggressive zone. That is like a lower time frame pullback scenario. A very aggressive zone, but I would say that is somewhere around the point of control, of course, the 4275. We will be paying attention to what happens around there as well, okay? Just in case. So we have our marker level set there. We have our major zone set there, which is, in my opinion, one of the better zones to look for. It actually is there with another zone below that, but I mark out the whole thing. Let's do it like this right now at the moment. Pretty much until that area, okay? And then the one is the big one with the sitting from below, right? That's the 15-minute from below. That is like a huge, huge, huge area of interest right there, okay? So if you ask me the question, where would you go short? I would not, if price would break any of those levels and we would create resistance here, we create something like a strong CME play where you have a range. This is the manipulation. This tends to be the top, and you break down, you could reject it at a lower volume node and you start struggling here. Maybe I will look for the continuation short again. But again, by that time, you will see that a new supply zone on the higher time frame will probably be created there. Okay? That is the only way. The 4-hour supply that will be created. a nice big fat rally, and then a base, and then a huge drop, right? And then we can look for some sort of pullback, and then the retracement or something like that. But otherwise, monthly supply, higher time frame resistance, or the daily, which also shows you clearly where to look for the major resistance at. Okay, it's clearly around this area right there. Until then, let's just follow the trend, follow the wave. What do you think? Yeah? Okay. I think that's the best way to do. Let's see. CSS, insider information. Gold will dump towards the end of the month. Okay, man. Then we have to wait for the top to be created first. Yeah? The top or the new bottom? The new retracement. Exactly. Funny videos, Lorenzo, give me a retracement lower time frame. Well, there you go. The point of control of the daily. Okay. Waywender, happy. Full TP now. Let's get that retracement entry. Love it. Amazing. Yeah. Wow, look at that move from yesterday, guys. That was the... Can't believe it. Well, I actually can't believe it. It was a matter of time. We knew that the market was compressing. And how do you know that the market is compressing? The market is compressing when you create a bigger range, and inside of the bigger range, you create a smaller range, right? We call that we talked about it so many times before on the stream. We call that the ranges. Yeah, the ranges. You have the bigger range. And then inside of the bigger range, you have the smaller range right there, right? We call that the ranges. Big range, small range, compression, breakout, right there. Yeah, very small range, by the way. Became very tight, okay? You could see that right there. The breakout after that was just, in the end, a matter of time, okay? So if you say, are those breakout patterns real? Those breakout patterns are real. Yes, sir. They are real. Okay. Compression. The longer gold compresses, the harder it tends to snap. Yeah. A ticking time bomb. Yeah. A little pullback. Is this gonna be the retracement we need? We need a retracement. That's the confirmation though, for sure. I cannot, even though I want a long here, I cannot really do that because there is not really a place where I would place my stop loss with conviction, right? And that is kind of the idea of these pullback or these aggressive moves right there. If you continue to rip, then where will I put my stop loss, right? Because in this case, if I had to put my stop loss, it had to be below the value area of today. Yeah, and how big is that then? Now, I think that's somewhere around a 400 pip, 350 pip stop loss. Yeah, I don't know about that one. You know what I mean? That's a bit too big. I mean, the reward is bigger. But it's just, you know? You could do that. You could just say, you know what? I'm just going to target the highs. I'm going to target the major resistance. I'm going to put my stop loss below the value area of today, which is the value area low sitting at the 4260. But that's very aggressive. Very, very aggressive. So the more the pullback, the better it is, with the risk of just continue to rip higher, right? Continue to rip higher. Yes. The last swing is, I think, around maybe around, yeah, it's probably the bottom, right? Then we have the little pullback and another expansion here. So yeah, somewhere inside of this area, we do have areas of resistance or low volume, which you could say, okay, this might form some support at the point of control or at the low volume area inside that area. You could already see this right here, right? Pretty much right there. You can already see how that turned into resistance. You broke it, you turn it into support. And pretty much right now we are bouncing from that as well. So maybe if price pulls into this area, we can already have a look and then put our stop loss at the value area low, which makes it already a big difference, right? That's already like a, it's still a big stop loss, but that's already a big difference in comparison to what we just talked about, which is the one right up there, right there. Okay. Yeah. What is the major resistance? Yeah, 4360, right? 4360. I think this is pretty clear that this is one of the best, the biggest zones, which aligns with monthly supply. It's sitting right here. Rejection, right? Rejection, rejection. Major support. Major support. Breakdown, retest. Look at that. That is not that far away. Anything inside here, there's not much happening. There's not much happening here, okay? But that is just like the major zone that I would watch on gold right now. And it's pretty straightforward. And that zone aligns perfectly with what we talked about on the monthly. That supply zone right there. So take that in account. And until then, the trend is your friend. And I usually say it depends. It depends. Because the trend doesn't always have to be your friend. Okay? Because sometimes we are neutral. We are in fair value on the higher time frame. And we're just bouncing like a ping pong. Right? We're ping ponging up and down. But in this case, it's pretty clear traffic, I would say. Yeah. If we held onto that one lot trade, it would have been around 17K. that was 17K. We would have doubled our account, right? From 6 to 20, like we already did, and then from 20 to 40, pretty much. But that's all theory. And we would have probably targeted and take profit at the previous daily high. And we'll probably not hold it all the way till the end. Right? In hindsight, it sounds so great and fantastic. But yeah, you know the drill. That's not how it actually in reality works. Right? Do you think it was overbought? No. I mean, in the short term, maybe, yeah. In the short term. We are a little bit overvalued here on the 5 minute. You can already see that's right there, right? We are a little bit in an overvaluation. If you think, that doesn't work, well, it does work. It does definitely work. This is kind of a range that we're seeing here. We're creating divergences. Divergences are a really big part of potential short-term pullbacks. Okay? You can see that right there. You can see that right there. And right now, we are creating something pretty similar. Okay? So this creates pullbacks. For sure. But that is not a reason for me to say, okay, we're creating pullbacks. So because the pullback itself, we're just going to enter a short. Because I'm not really a big fan of that here. Okay. What is that indicator? This is called the Stealth Valuation Index. We give this away on the streams, by the way, all the time. Okay. You can get it for free if you just follow up with the live streams. I just randomly decide to give it away, give people access to the indicator. I will not sell it. You know, it's so cringe, man. Selling you an indicator like that. You know what I mean? Selling you the indicator with the dollar and stuff. It's just so cringe. It's so cringe. So yeah, let's just give it away once every week or whatever the case would be, right? Yeah. Constant absorption already. Wow, look at that. There is no stopping to this thing. No stopping. Let's look at an order flow real quick here. We tapped into the VWAP. The VWAP is sitting at, 43, 44 on futures. The crazy part is, we're sitting in spot at 42.96. Okay, so there is around a 50. Now I would almost say 57 and 98. So a 60-point difference. Think about that. We're trading in a crazy premium right now on futures. 60-point gap between the futures market and the spot market. Think about that for a second. That is a big one. We haven't seen that in a while. Okay, that is a big premium we're trading in at the moment, right there. Okay, that's really significant, by the way. Why not buy the dip? Well, we're trying to buy the dip. Do we call this a dip? I don't know if we call this a dip. I don't see a dip. It just looks like a straight up continuation. All right. Straight up continuation. Buy the dip, he says. Buy the dip. straight up push up. Straight absorption. Yeah. Give us one low volume, no pullback, at least, right? At least get us back to like the 80, the early 80s. The early 80s, or yeah. I'm already almost giving up on this 42.50 level right now at the moment, but hey, who knows? Who knows? Who knows? The opening range, I would say, of the day. But like, yeah. We're waiting for this this touch. See what price does inside of this area right there. We're definitely facing some resistance at the moment here. That is evident. Yeah. By the way, my broker right now, Vantage, has now this is crazy, by the way. The Xau Usd 24/7 chart. Have you seen that? The Xau Usd 24/7 chart. It's actually something related to what crypto has too. Okay, the Xau USD, but the Xau USD 24/7 is now on Vantage. Kind of interesting. The reason why this is interesting is not to trade in the weekend, right? There is no volume. But what is interesting is that if a major news happens in the weekend, that you see these breakouts happening in the weekend and you see these gaps getting created in real time in the weekend. That is interesting. So if you are in position on a Friday and you look at this chart, you can't do much. But if you want to enter a trade, and I might think about holding my trade over the weekend, then I might decide to say, you know what, instead of trading gold on Xau USD, what I do is I take it because it's Friday and I might want to hold this trade, right, later on in the trending market. I might take my trade on a Friday. It's a bit more expensive to hold, but I might take it on the Xau USD 24/7 chart because then I can manage it in the weekends. Yeah, pretty genius if you ask me. That is pretty genius. I think this is what's going to become relatively common, relatively normal. Okay, we're pulling back. We're pulling back into zone 1. With a lot of volume. A lot of volume. When I say a lot of volume, that is a lot of volume. Now, this is what we call a little bit of a pullback, right? Not buy the dip pullback, but this is a little bit of a pullback. I think I was right, to be honest. Like based around this amount, around the volume that I'm watching right now, look at all that volume coming in. Wow, look at all the sellers, buyers at the top, being stuck twice in their position. Look at that. A lot buying at the top here. No follow through anymore. A lot of sellers underneath those buyers. This might tells us that we might gonna see a bit of a bigger pullback. Back to the point of control then. You see, patience rewards. I know it's tough to be patient in these like expansions because it seems like we're gonna go up forever. But yeah, I think it's better to just wait for price to get towards these zones. The point of control is one of those levels. And then, yeah, I mean, this is a serious amount of volume. It is a serious amount of volume. Look at that. Especially here, look at that candle right there. That's actually an interesting candle, right? Look at that. Do you see that amount of volume that came in? It's sitting right here. This is the high. What candle is that? That's actually right there. What happened to that candle? Buyers at the top. That screams pullback. That screams pullback. Okay. That screams pullback. Okay, we're already in a zone right now at the moment. This one right here. Okay, this is that area that we're watching. I think it's just on the lower time frame, the 1 minute range. Yeah, is that this area right here? Low volume. Yeah, that's the level that we're trying to tap into right now at the moment here. It makes sense that we're reacting here a little bit. Okay. Getting interesting already. Keep in mind, this 50-minute candle just opened up. Is now getting rejected at the VWAP here. And we did close below this area right there. Okay. So we will find some resistance now. So we cannot be too aggressive yet. Oh. There we go. But I do like the initial reaction. But you can see the rejection here. You can see how it's fighting. How it's fighting that area right there. Yeah, you can see that on the 5 minute. What's happening right now is that we're still finding that resistance. You can see that here on the or 50 minute. You can see that the VWAP is getting rejected right now. It's kind of used as some sort of resistance. You can see this right here. Okay, you can see that this is the VWAP right there. We are kind of getting rejected at it right now. If we will be able to flip this and close back above this in a couple minutes from now, I think that's a pretty good sign to try and give it a go here at this lower time frame range. And this is pretty much really taking it on the lower time frame, like the 1 minute today. Like we have pretty much no choice, I guess. So should we give it a try? We can, and then put our stop loss really low. Where is that? The 70s-ish? If it re-breaks the highs here. Let's watch this very carefully. If we can re-break this area. Then pretty much go for those highs again. But we have to re-break it. We have to re-break it, I think. Have to re-break it. Close above the VWAP here in like 2 minutes as well. That would be nice. But it looks promising, guys. it looks promising. I think I just want to give it a go. Keep it very, very, very tight. Because we did tap into the fair value of that smaller range right now at the moment. We are getting supported right there at the moment as well. We're trying to break out of it. We cannot really do this yet. So if we can break out of this right now, I think I'm just gonna go. We didn't do it again. We still had that same resistance. So let's see if we can break above that. Sometimes you have to go to the 1 minute. Yes, sir. In case you're wondering, how do you utilize the time frames? Well, it depends on the structure and the volume. The volatility, I would better say. Structure and volatility. Yeah, we're in the very area high of the smaller range. This is also a low volume node that we're fighting here. Okay, you can see this right there. So you could actually remove this for a second and take the low volume node. Okay. And then what we want is a closure above. So we're kind of getting supported there. And kind of break out right now. That would be nice. Can we break back above the 88? Zone 1, Zone 2, and Zone 3. That's pretty much the ones that we're looking at. This is Zone 1. Let me actually make it the same color. This is pretty much Zone 1. That's the zone that we're watching right now at the moment. Zone 2 is sitting at the bigger range of today. The opening range of today. If I'm not mistaken. Yes. The opening range of today. So Zone 1 is hit. Let's wait for the break above the highs though. See if we can do that. So that pretty much means that we would reclaim the highs again, right? You create a lower low and you create an error of balance and then you break down, but you then reclaim it. So this becomes like a manipulation. And then it leads into these reversals. But right now we're not seeing it yet. So there's no reason to kind of get involved. Paces always gets rewarded. What are the settings of the volume profile? 128. Okay, the only thing that you're looking at is 128 rows. So I think it's, you want to see the definition, right? Of the volume. Some people put it even higher. Some people put it like a 1,000. I've seen people putting it at 1,000. That's a bit too much. Because I do like to see a little bit of structure inside of the volume profile. Okay, no rebreak, clearly. So we're pulling back into the point of control. Where can we look for areas? This one's super aggressive. We needed some sort of confirmation. Keep a close eye on opponent control. finally a little bit of a reaction here. That's actually it's actually good to see. But yeah, this is why it was so important to be patient. Look at that rejection of the VWAP. Closure below the VWAP, and then kind of the follow through right now. It looks like a big sell-off, but it's actually not really. If you look at it, if you put it in retrospect, it is not really a big reaction here. Okay. What we're actually doing right now is we took the range that we had today. Okay. You can actually call this just the daily range. We can actually put it right there, the daily range. Or you take the profile of the whole day, which is sitting right there, and you wait for the point of control. This is where we are right now. Okay. This is actually the most important level of where we are now. This is why we're reacting here. But I think the sweet spot entries are still sitting inside of the low volume nodes of yesterday, starting at the 55, etc. But yeah, we have to get there though. Point of control, look at that. Look at the point of control here. Then the question is, can we flip that structure that we got rejected at? If we can reclaim that area right there, to be honest, guys, if you see the reaction like we're seeing now, look at that. And we can close above it and reclaim that. I think we can just continue to target the highs. That's something I'm interested in. Point of control is a strong reaction again. Strong, what we call absorption right now. That was not really a surprise that it happened at the point of control. But this is the moment of truth right there. The resistance around this area, the reclaim of this, you could almost say of the balanced range that we see here. We want to reclaim that. If you can't reclaim it, then it's just going to try to sell again and push into the point of control again. I love the point of control. I love the point of control. You cannot neglect it. Let's see if we can reclaim this. Why that? Because that's the VWAP. That's where the VWAP is at pretty much. Okay, not here on this chart, but on the order flow chart. You can see this actually very clearly. That is sitting right there. Okay. If we can reclaim the VWAP, it's pretty safe buys, and then stop loss below the previous lows, which I actually really do like. If that would be a scenario. So that could be very, very interesting if we could actually do something like that, right? There we go. Yeah, that is absorption in a nutshell. Why this is an absorption? It's an absorption because look at all the sellers at the bottom. Price was coming down. And when price was coming down, people were trying to short it immediately. And then, boop, candle closes above it. So those sellers now are stuck. They're in drawdown. Okay. As well as the buyers up there, by the way. But a lot of volume. Look at that, 1.6K in one contract, in one candle. Predominantly sellers, okay? Minus 195, that's a big one. Okay, so that means there were a lot more sellers in the previous candle than buyers. But the candle closed with a wick, a strong bottom wick. Okay, that means there are a lot of limit buyers still active. All these aggressive sellers are still getting absorbed right now. But as long as we don't get above this area, I think that it will just face more resistance. So we have to be patient. I have to be patient there. I have to be patient there. You can see why. G10 says gold is going to take all the profit people made yesterday. Well, you know how many people lost money yesterday? A lot of people lost money as well yesterday. You know? Especially these crazy moves. So, okay, you see, we didn't manage to close above it. So it was no reason to buy. And we're back down again. So this is actually pretty strong rejection. The fact that you came here twice is pretty aggressive. Why that level? We talked about it. Look at the VWAP. Look at that. You see the blue line? Do you see the blue line right there? Let me see if I can actually create a bigger line out of that. But that's called the VWAP right there. The blue line. We tapped into that again. We couldn't close above it. We couldn't get back above that after that rejection here. Not saying that this is not strong support though. I'm just saying that the follow through is needed. In order to follow through back up, we need to close above that again. And we did not do that. Back on the grind, back on the... Look at that, wow. Double bottom? Point of control, baby, wow. Second time. Second time, look at that. Daily point of control. Does not want to go down. Does not want to go down. Yeah. Can we break above this high? And get back on track. Oh, look at that. Cannot neglect the POC. The point of control is the area where the most volume has been traded today. At 4275. Every time when we tap into that, you can see a reaction around it. It happened here, it happened there, it happened there. But now we need to break this high, reclaim the previous range, and I think we're back on track. So can we flip this candle bullish and shoot up? If so, I'm willing to take the trade. Something like that. Yes, it will put my stop loss below that. It's not too bad because the target is so much bigger. And then, of course, stop loss on break when we are at the highs. You know what I mean? I want to see the breakout, the flip, the follow through, managing my trade there at the highs, around the highs. And then target the continuation again. The point of control is holding strong. Let's see if it's possible. Can we do something like that? The VWAP is holding that resistance right there. That's why. You can already see the reaction here. We just need to see that the break. Preferably a closure back above the VWAP. That's why I'm waiting for that zone to break, because that's pretty much where the real VWAP is at, not the one on TradingView. Unless you create the high, or the high, I think. No, not even the high. The session VWAP of today is actually what we're looking at. So much resistance, we can't seem to break it though, right? That's why it's even more attractive to watch it. And to wait. It is still interesting, right? To see the fact that you're seeing this on the 15-minute, it does not look like we're ready to go yet. But there is so much absorption. And again, when you see a tremendous amount of sellers at the bottom here, like you're seeing right there, it shows us that the absorption is not finished yet. Okay, because if there's so much selling and no follow through, it just shows that there is still, yeah, we're not done yet. We're not fully done yet. Right? We are not fully ready. You will see when we're ready. But this is serious resistance. This is serious resistance right there. So we have zone 1, which is pretty much the area we are right now. We have zone 2, which is sitting at the range of yesterday, the previous range. Okay, at the 50s, the 55s. Okay. And then we have, of course, the major zone, the biggest zone of all, the 4230. Okay. The 4230. But until then, let's take it zone by zone, level by level, I would say. Zone by zone, level by level. So hopefully we can either see a breakout now. That would be nice. Just don't look back. Just give us the breakout. We're getting somewhere. Did we close the 5-minute? Yes. I will give it a go, guys. I think I will give it a go. Let's see if we can pull back here. We have not flipped it yet. Still getting rejected. Didn't close above it. Wow. Waiting. Yeah, I'm gonna try. I'm gonna go long right now. My G's, just so you know, I'm gonna go long right now. Okay, go. I'm long right now. I'm gonna give it a try. Let's see if we can break through. Target the highs. And stops are gonna go below. Let's see. Let's see, baby. Give me some continuation today. Oh, yeah. I want to see that. I want to see that. And now that squeeze, that continuation of yesterday, at least target those highs. Boom. Straight up. Back to the highs. Come on. Now we want to squeeze. Ooh. Let's check the order flow real quick. Now that's a strong closure above the VWAP. That is a pretty strong closure above the VWAP right there. So let's hope that we can hold on above it and turn that and flip that into support. Ah, we're not there yet. This is the moment of truth, though. We have a strong closure above it. Right, we have a strong closure above the VWAP right now at the moment. You have all the sellers stuck at the bottom. Stop loss is below those sellers. So what do we want to see? We want to maintain pretty much in this area right now and hold that support here and flip bullish to at least try to target the previous highs again. Okay? And try to get into that area. But this is where the sellers got stuck. We want to stay above that. We don't want to get below that. That's our stop loss right there. It made sense for me to trade this for sure. And to give this a go. But we want to see the follow through. We really want to see the follow through right now at the moment, right? We do want to see that. So I hope we can flip it. It's good to put your stop loss below the sellers, below the VWAP, below the sellers. A reclaim of the VWAP is nice with the sellers below. But it's still trading. The entry, what is my entry? Entry, it's 87. Why about 42.77, the low point? It was actually very nice, but the problem was we closed below the VWAP. And now we have a reclaim of it, so that's why. Yeah, the VWAP is sitting right below that. We closed, we took a trade when we broke it, and then we closed it, so that's the good part. That's why it's kind of holding that support right now at the moment. Come on, geez. It's not that hard. Just flip your candle. We turn it into support. We reclaim that area. We reclaim that zone. Should be able to target those highs again, right? The 50 on futures, which is the, you could say the 5 minute, at least the 4,300. Oh, let's see what happens. Pretty much at our zone. How much volume was traded around this area here? Yeah, pretty much this is the value area. You don't really want to get below that. Right there. So this is why we're respecting this larger zone. We have the point of control right now. Come on. Ooh, I like that reaction from the point of control here. I like that reaction. I do like that reaction. I did like that reaction on the point of control. That's actually good. I like that. It's a good reaction from this area right there. Let's mark out that level. The point of control right there of the previous range that we created just now. Because a very important level. Yeah. So much struggling. Gold is really struggling here, guys. On both sides. Look at that. Yeah, I did like that reaction from the point of control, though. I really like that. That's what's keeping me in the trade right now at the moment. Here. It's that reaction of the point of control of that previous level that we're seeing right here. I actually really do like this level here. I think that gives us a shot to potentially test those highs. There we go. I want to see something like that, but then I want to see the follow through. Right, then I want to see the follow through. Like that. But now the follow through, the big one, the big boy candle. That is a strong closure right there. That's a pretty strong closure. That is a pretty strong closure, if you ask me right there. Can't believe the resistance here though, major resistance now. A lot of strapped sellers at the top here. You can see that all that rejection here. That is a pretty strong rejection, but I love how the 15-minute is trying to push it. And the 5-minute. What a reaction though. Yeah, it's too much resistance here, my friends. Let's give this one more squeeze. There we go. Yes. Selling pressure is really strong today. I think we just want to see the follow through here. Okay. Want to see the follow through right now? Can we see it? Gonna take some profits right now at the moment. I took some profits, as you guys can see here. Okay, profits were taken. And stops are gonna break even right now. Profits were taken. $500 is taken out of this position. Okay? There's too much resistance happening around this area. The reason why is because we're dealing with a lot of sellers or buyers that are stuck at the top of the trade. So I'm at least taking out profit. And if we can squeeze higher, we leave the rest running. But take profit has been taken. And I took it and I gave it more than enough time. Take profit taken. Right there. 500 USD. Yes. Okay. Yeah, you can clearly see the reaction here. I love the reaction here, but I don't really see the follow through at the moment. If this breaks out, then you're probably going to continue to go much higher. And this can still turn into a big runner, I would say. And the entry is relatively good right now at the moment. So let's leave it at that and see if we can run it. But that's a $500 take profit. And stop loss at entry. Yeah. It's a pretty straightforward break. Above the VWAP again, the reclaim of that, showing that there's still absorption. Sellers were still stuck in their position there. But the reason why we're trying to take some profits right now is just because of the buyers that try to buy the top. You can see this right there at the moment. If you take this a bit higher, you can actually see very clearly. We see a lot of buyers here buying the top and failing. Look at these wicks. And buyers were entering the top here. And this is if you mark out a level, you can actually see that this is resistance. You see that? That is that resistance. That is why we took profits right there. Just in case, okay? We entered at the VWAP, the reclaim. We take profits at the highs. If it breaks out and it closes above it, sky is the limit. Okay? Sky is the limit. But if this reverses, okay, we don't have to rush it. We're trading an overextension right now at the moment. Okay, there's a little bit of an overextension. So I think that a $500 take profit on a 20K account is a good exit, partially. But if you see some sort of runner, then fantastic here. But this is that area right there. You see that? Trapped sellers at the top, buyers at the top. That becomes resistance twice, not once, but twice. Okay, sellers at the bottom here. But the reclaim of the VWAP is where we entered, giving us the room. And if this goes and it breaks above that and it closes above that, sky is really the limit to get their major target. But we saw a double touch, a double rejection here. And a lot of sellers entered at the top. Buyers got stuck. Similar to sellers at the bottom. So we're in a range. We're in a compression right now. Okay? That's why we take profit here. It's pretty straightforward, I would say, right? It's pretty straightforward. Yes. Whatever happens, happens. We made our money. And you see, we can't seem to continue to go higher now at the moment. So, wow, it's teasing. Look at that. Okay, that's that. That is a yeah, $500 scalp for now. Okay, that is a $500 scalp at this current moment right here at the bottom. Okay, 500, 600 in total, 485 plus 100, 500 and almost $600. Almost $600 profit. Yeah. To be honest, I would have loved to see the follow through here, and it could still follow through here. But keep in mind right now at the moment that when you see this, there's a reason why we're getting rejected here, and that is because those buyers that stepped in at the top right now are getting rejected, and at the same time we have the sellers at the bottom. So we're compressing, and that's why you have to take profits, because if you don't take profits, you're going to be zigzagging into your trade forever, and it's just a waste. It's just a waste not to take profits here and leave a runner in case you do break out. Okay? But the reclaim of the entry was pretty much clear to me right there. The moment we reclaimed the, yeah, pretty much that area right there, I felt safer entering here than at the bottom, even though it's lower, because the fact that we broke and reclaimed the VWAP right there, right? Oh, that makes sense. Yeah. Is it a platform account? Nope. Let me know what the chat did right now. That was a quick scalp for now here. Is there still chance of continuation? There is. There is. The only problem is that the volume is slowing down a little bit. The volume is coming down a little bit. Okay. And in order to break that high that we talked about right here, where we took profits, you need a lot more volume. It seems that we need a lot more volume than that at this current moment right there. Okay. Let me see what the chat did. Okay. What's happening, chat? What do you guys did? Do you have any videos for learning? Yes, I do. We have a Telegram channel for free where I post free videos. I'm going to actually post one later today or early tomorrow morning, after the stream tomorrow morning or later today. Okay. About the playbooks, the setups. Okay. For now, watch this one, the first and the second one. It sets the foundation. Okay. Lesson 2 is finding a point of interest, the low volume nodes. We talked about it already. was super useful for today. If you watch that video, you understand that today was the perfect example, okay? And then, of course, number one is the volume profile, okay? How to draw it, in what condition, etc., 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 etc. Okay? Video 3 is coming. Do you watch Avatar: The Last Airbender? Yes. I watched it since I was small, and I still watch it today. Thank you, bro. Made $380. Nice. Yeah. I mean, yeah, this is just part of the risk management, I would say. People are going to say, oh, yeah, but look at how the market closed. We closed at 43.40. True. But we can always look for re-entries now, later on. Because at some moment in time, look at what we're doing right now. And I'm just going to remove everything for a second. Because if you pretty much watch this right here, and you look at the range itself, what are we building right now? We're building a high, we're building a low. If we're going to operate in this area, guess what we're going to do? We're going to build a new value area, okay? Then what will we do is the longer this range is going to be active, okay? So like a fixed range, like that, okay? What are we going to do? We're going to mark out the volume profile of this area right here. Let's say it's actually around here. This is kind of where it started, right? Now you could say the higher and the low. Okay, around this specific area right there, that is where we are going to look for the continuation play again. So even though I took profits at the top here right now, and we got a quick $500 trade or whatever, right? It was still worth taking profits, because if we now leave the value area at the top with volume and we break out, it's a pretty straightforward area to look for the continuation play. So that simply means we would be looking at something like this, look for the entry, and then in this range, I will be looking at the order flow to see how are buyers and sellers right here interacting with each other the moment we leave the value area of the current range that we are building. Okay? The current range that we're building, that is the range that we're looking at right now. Because if we build a new value area, price operating in fair value, right? Buyers and sellers are trading equally. If we can break out of that range, out of the fair value, we look at the retest of that, and that will give us a new entry, right? So that's why taking profits now made a lot of sense. Because you're operating in fair value. If you can see it's failing to break out, just take your profits. Don't be too greedy, okay? Because the moment you do break out of the value area again, the new range, that is the moment that we can start looking for continuation entries on the pullback right there when retesting the value area. That's when we can look at the order flow again. Okay? Hope that makes sense right there. Yes, sir? Okay. A lot of things happening around there here, but the longer you range, the more value you create, the more information we have for the next setup. And until then, taking profits. If we are expecting the market to be a bit balanced over the next hours, it's better to do that. Yeah? Cool. Okay. Okay. What broker do you use? I use Vantage myself here. I don't have a link for you, but I use Vantage. Okay. I use Vantage right around now. I'm ready for a long time, for years pretty much. Yeah. Vantage and another one, which is Prime. PU Prime. As a CFD broker, I would say. Okay. If there is no voice, you need to refresh the stream. I don't know why. It happens sometimes. I have no idea why. This broker that we use right now, right, is strictly from the stream trades. That's it. I use this account only for the stream trades because it allows me to give you guys the real results of the streams, right? The real results of the stream. We started it with 6K and we're now at 20.6. Okay, could have made so much money yesterday, but you know what happened. Even though the analysis was correct, sometimes the market doesn't give us what we want to see, right? But anyways, that is why we have this account right now. We're doing this for educational purposes. Educational purposes only. Educational purposes only. Yeah? Okay. All right. Anyways, what is the next step? Okay, for me personally, it's very clear. And that is wait for the breakout. Wait for the breakout right there. Okay, we're gonna remove some of this right now. Like I said before, the market is still getting absorbed. That's clear. Okay, so I'm gonna mark out the range, the swing low, the swing high, and I'm gonna then use the volume profile of the current area, or you could almost say the day as well, right? It's the same thing. Okay, at the moment you have the daily value because the most volume is traded there now during the day inside of the value high and the value area low. We're operating inside of this. The only logical explanation I would give you now is if you can break out of this with volume. Okay, so we can break out of this with some volume. Actually with some strong volume, some follow through, retrace back into this area and see if we can find continuation place to target what we said before, the 4360. And why the 4360? We talked about it already. The 4360 is something that we utilize because of the daily time frame right now. At the moment, gold has no clear area of resistance on the higher time frame until, of course, that zone that we talked about right there, right? Major resistance sitting at around the 4350, right around there. Anything besides that is pretty much clean traction, in my opinion. And that aligns perfectly with a monthly supply zone. Okay, monthly supply, a drop-based drop expansion candle, monthly zone. This is serious. This is serious. If we tap into that, that will become an issue when the NFP comes tomorrow. Because imagine being in monthly supply or in a daily resistance, like we talked about right here, while at the same time, the NFP comes out. Ooh, that's gonna be nasty. That's gonna be interesting. Okay. But yeah, do take that in consideration. Until then, you can see what price is trying to do. It's trying to break out of the value area right now. We got out, we took our profits. Now we're breaking above it. Can we close above this right now and reclaim this zone? Pull back and potentially then lead towards some continuation right there. Right? I hope that makes sense. Hope that makes sense. So now we have the closure above it. And as long as we're staying in the range, or as long as we were staying in the range and we saw that resistance here, we took profits and we were like, okay, if you don't want to go yet, that's fine. But now that we're leaving the value area, we need to reconsider either new entries with the chance of now just simply looking for a stronger impulse. I don't know. Some people stay in regardless. Some people take profits and they hold on regardless. Other people, they are more aware of risk management, more conservative from that perspective and re-enter. This is going to be potential first closure we're going to see, right? I think it will be. It will be, definitely. I think it will be. No time to sell, that's for sure for us. No reason to sell for us. Time to eat, my friend. How you doing, man? Good to see you, brother. Good to see you. For some reason, I don't know what's going on with like the stream, etc. You guys can hear me, right, or what? Am I talking to like no one right now at the moment? You guys can hear me? I think you guys can. Yeah, you see, you guys can hear me. You guys can hear me. Let's see if we can leave this fair value now at in like, you know, with a strong closure, 6 minutes to go, and try again. And if you're still in the trade, then you can put your stop loss definitely on break even here. That's for sure. I hope you guys understand why shorting here is a dangerous game. It's a tricky game. In order to short, in my opinion, we need serious resistance first. Higher time frame resistance that makes sense. And we're literally in the middle of nowhere at this current moment. And usually what happens after a long, large breakout, like this right here, a large breakout like this, okay? Huge breakout. When gold is in the range of ranges, and it creates a range inside of a range inside of a range, and a breakout comes, which is very common, okay? That gold does not stop, okay? You have this 4-hour range, but keep in mind, in the 4-hour range, you have a daily range. Look at that. Daily range. Inside the daily range, you have a 4-hour range. You have a 1-hour range, okay? Inception material. You break out, you close above it. Yeah, don't try to short that until major resistance or until a larger area of balance. Larger area of balance. Usually what you do is you create a larger area of balance here. You start ranging for a long period of time. Then you make like a sweeper and it's something like this, right? It's rarely the prices those, boom. At least that's what I've noticed with gold, specifically on the higher time frame after a large compression. Okay, so time will tell. Time will tell when we will see shorts again, or when I will try to short again right now. But still a little bit of a rejection though. Right at the top. It's no, we're not out of the woodworks yet. That's why that 15-minute closure is so key. Yeah. For now, it's still resistance. We're trying to break out of the fair value, but we are unable to do so. Let's see what happens on the order flow. Yeah, same thing, guys. Wow, look at that. That's why taking profit is so important inside of a balanced area. You can see it. Why did we see it? Why did I know that I had to take profits here? Trap sellers at the bottom and trap sellers at the trap buyers at the top. That's the first signal of a balanced range or finding fair value. And again, we saw a lot of buyers here trading the breakout, and then price pulls back again. You saw that here too. And you see this now again here at the top as well. So we're constantly seeing at the moment, right? At least at the moment, that buyers are trying to enter at the breakout, but they're failing to follow through. And that becomes a serious problem. Okay? And that's why these closures are going to be very key, because closures will allow you to understand how did the candle close against the market participation. So if the market participation is bullish and the candle closes bullish, the chances of a continuation is much bigger, right? This is why it's still quote unquote dangerous to look for the follow through now. How do I join the community Discord? This is closed, my friend, for already a couple weeks, okay? We allow a very small group of people to join us every month. We talked about it before, around 20 people. And the people that are in the group right now, hope they're enjoying it. If you are in the chat watching, speak out. We have our next session today. I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, no, the guys have been absolutely crushing it, okay? Absolutely killing it. Nick, shout out to you, man. Amazing, amazing, amazing. You guys are absolutely crushing it for some reason. I wonder why. I gotta say it was a good day. Thanks for the morning stream buys and the full breakdown. Yes, sir. Nick, the man, made $1,700 yesterday. Good job, my friend. Good job. On the right side of the market, that's for sure. We open usually once a month, once every 6 weeks. For now, my suggestion is to join the free Telegram. That's it. Join the free Telegram, join the book, read my free book, the trading war map. You learn about the volume profile. Combine this with the free material in Telegram, which are 2 lessons right now that I posted. Lesson 1, time-based versus structure-based volume profiles. Lesson 2, low volume nodes. Finding our point of interest right there. Okay, these are private videos you can get for free by joining the Telegram group, clicking on the link that leads you to a free video, okay, that you don't find on my channel, but you do find it in the backend, okay? You do find it in the backend. It's a private video. No BS, straight up information, no crazy editing, just straight up, okay? Giving you the foundation of the volume profile, which is a good start of the system, the gold hybrid trading system. K-Day Smith, this is Kevin in Group C and I love it. Plus the live stream helps a ton. Thanks. Amazing, Kevin. See you in the New York session today. Yeah, Lorenzo, I found someone on TikTok that is live using your video for live trading. Yeah. Be careful with that, guys. Be careful with TikTok. I'm not on TikTok. Okay, if I am, I will tell you, but I'm not on TikTok. And keep in mind, the amount of fake Telegram groups that are bigger than my group, okay, because my group is really new, is unbelievable, okay? The amount of fake Telegram groups with signals and stuff. Don't fall for it, please. Don't fall for that copy trading stuff. You have to invest this amount of money and then you get 1,000% return in 2 weeks. Yeah, all that garbage. Don't trust it. And I'm sometimes surprised. Sorry to say it. How naive some people are. Okay, and I don't blame you for it because sometimes it looks super. They're doing a great job, but it's just unbelievable how you can fall for that. Okay, be very careful with that. Is there a New York session today? No, today I'll have a New York session with the group. Ah, man. We are trying to break out of the value area, right? We are trying, but it's tough here. Okay? It is tough here. How long have I been streaming? Almost 2 hours. Okay. So what I think we need to do here right now is we need to simply wait for, right? And this is what I'm going to tell you right now, how to approach this. Wait for a larger breakout and a 15-minute closure, okay? So what you do is this, okay? Right now we have the current day. We opened at 6 p.m. EST, right? New York time, 6 p.m. Okay, the market opened up. Asia started at what, 9? We take the volume profile right here. Fixed range volume profile. You mark it from the left to the right. You have a blue zone. Okay, the settings are 128 row size and 70 LER volume. 70% of the volume that's traded today is in this range. So you mark the top and you mark the bottom. And I call this the fixed value area, or you could call it the daily, whatever it is, right? The daily zone. And then in the daily zone, we are holding what we call fair value. We're operating in fair value, okay? We are relatively balanced at the moment. Why? Because buyers are getting squeezed out of longs at the top, but sellers are getting trapped at the bottom. So now the market needs to make a decision. The market needs to now try to say, you know what? We're trending up. Sellers are trapped. We're going to break out. If we break out and leave fair value, the first moment and levels that you look for is the retracement. The retracement into the 4200, okay? Which is the top, the value area high right there. That is the area that you watch very carefully, because if you tap into that zone, okay, and you react very strongly from that level right there, and you create something like this, now you want to watch what happens here. Because if price then creates what we call a bottom wick on the 15-minute time frame, you don't even need order flow. Well, actually you do if you want to be very precise and have that extra confirmation, right? But in reality, if you just break out right there, you create a strong bottom wick and you turn it into support, you can look for the continuation play and you target the 4360. For now, we're really struggling here, okay? You need to leave fair value, and that means that you consistently have to also move the volume profile to the new candle, the latest candle, okay? So you have the high and you have the low, and you wait for the price to pretty much break out of that range, okay? Then you look for the opportunities right there. Okay, if price breaks down, wait for the next zone and see what happens inside of the previous range, okay? You do the same thing right there, the previous area. And you wait for price to react and to see if it holds support here, okay? This is what we call the real support and resistance, okay? According to volume or volume analysis. It's a different way than trading, let's say, order blocks or, fair value gaps or, whatever the case may be, right? Support and resistance. It's similar than support and resistance, but it's actually built around real volume, right? Because volume is king right there, okay? So pay attention to this right now. That is the reason why we entered at the bottom of fair value, or we tried to enter at the bottom of fair value. We entered, I think, at 86 or something like that, 87 right here. And we exited pretty much there. A quick scalp inside of a balance area today in the Asia session. I hope it made sense for you, why we got in and why we got out, and where, well, the next trade is developing, if that makes sense right there, okay? Still a $600 trade on a 20K account. I think it's fine. Let's now mark out the breakout and see if you can follow through right there, okay? And I pretty much look for the continuation, all right? If you want to learn more about the volume profile, just read the book or go into the Telegram or keep watching the live streams on a daily basis, because this is the process of how we trade every day on stream. And I just came back from a holiday right now, so I'm fully back on track with you guys and continue to grow that account in real time and continue the process right there, okay? Volume is dying out a little bit here. I think it's time to catch up later with you guys and wait for the breakout to happen. You know what to do, you know what to look for. And if you don't know, then, just join the Telegram group, because tomorrow or later today, I need to see, probably tomorrow morning after the stream, we'll post a new video, which is episode number 3, which is called the playbooks, okay? Particularly certain type of setups that we look for. And we're gonna talk about this exact topic, fair value, and what it means and how to use it from that perspective right there, using the volume profile, okay? All right, guys. Well, that makes sense, okay? Let's wait for the larger breakout and not chase anything right now until that actually happens right there, okay? I hope I gave you enough information to set yourself up for the next hours. Be careful with current setups until we break out of that range, in my opinion. That's the only way I would say it. Wait for price to break out with some volume, with some commitment. And because the trend is up, and right now there is not really a strong level of resistance sitting somewhere here, I'm still very cautious with shorting, okay? I'm very more confident with shorting, because even if I would short, the next target is already here. And the next target is already there, right? Keep in mind, you can short it but you don't have a lot of room, okay? The upside is still much bigger than the downside right now because you're gonna tap into level after level after level. And that's the problem when you short right now at the moment here. That's why shorting makes so much more sense when you are in larger resistance, you create a larger balanced zone and you leave that, you break that. Now it becomes more rewarding to short the market, if that makes sense. Until then, in my opinion, the trend is your friend and the breakout is where the magic happens. Yes? Okay. Good luck, my friends. I'm going to see you guys later on. Thank you guys for joining today. Quick scalp. And I'll see you tomorrow again. And I wish you good luck. Be careful with the news today in New York. I'm going to work with my group today. And I'll see you later, yeah? Thanks a lot.